Welcome to the Coco Lesa Podcast. The Coco Lesa Podcast is produced and brought to you by the HOH Collective.
Hey family, what's going on?
Welcome.
Mano, welcome back. Glad to have you guys. First, foremost, and most importantly, we would like to apologize for the way the episodes have become really staggered, but we're working on a ton right now. And the biggest of those things is our website.
Yeah, we are currently putting our website out,
the HOHcollective.com, and it's going to be super dope, and we can't wait to share it with you guys, because it's going to be like the one-stop shop and the source for all of our information, all our content, all our products, blog posts, ways for you to communicate with us. So we're really looking forward to that, and that's why there's been such a hold up.
Yeah, we might do a little episode on that as well. But anyway, today's episode, we shall jump right into it.
Yeah, so like all of our talking points, there's a lot of different sides to this conversation, you know what I mean? And a lot of different perspectives to consider it on.
So today we will be talking about, the main question that there is.
No, I'm sorry, this little girl is so funny. Before we jump into the episode, I'm going to fight my daughter, right? My 4-month-old daughter, because she is not always hungry, but she will eat sometimes even if she's not. But even outside of that, she plays in your face. So you put the bottle to her mouth after you've been thinking she's hungry, and then she sticks out her tongue and will not let the bottle get in her mouth, and she'll lick across the tip of the bottle what are we doing? But anyway, okay, sorry.
Why don't you eat? Come on, eat. But okay, so the question that we are posing today is, are famous people, and I'm not talking about little famous, like people who get their degrees and get good jobs. I'm talking about the
biggest thing that happened to the community. No, we're talking about
I'm talking about sports stars that make millions. I'm talking about famous actors like The Rock,
athletes, music personalities,
whatever it may be. When you become extremely famous in the public eye, are you obligated to give it back to the community, to give back whatever it may be, maybe scholarships, whatever, to the community?
And for me, as a small business owner and an entrepreneur and a person who's been doing this for a long time, I think in most cases the answer is automatically yes, but this doesn't just come for athletes and famous people. I think this comes down to businesses as well. So you want to kick us off?
So this conversation popped up for me and him. It's probably been a conversation for him for a while, but for me and him, this conversation popped up when we were listening to Hot 95?
Hot 97.
Hot 97.
Yeah. I'm going to tell Ebro.
With Old Man Ebro. And they were having a conversation about Amber Rose and her slut walk,
because she recently did the slut walk
campaign.
And even before, and it prompted me to say something. We were listening because I was online and I saw a lot of members of the black community talking about Amber, and their question was, what does this chick do for the community? How is she giving back? Has she done scholarships? What has she done for young women in a positive, progressive way that's actually taking an active stance on it, other than just telling them it's okay to be slutty and wear whatever you want and dress whatever you want and sleep with as many people as you want?
So as soon as I heard him say that this was what was going on, and
she jumped into attack mode.
I was like, no, they're not obligated to give back to the community. That's not their obligation. When they become famous, that's not something that they're obliged to do. Sometimes the community hasn't done for them. So why are they obliged to give back? But I feel like that was my first point as soon as I heard that, but more deeply into it, I'm now
you get very defensive about things.
I feel...
And so another way that this conversation comes up is when we talk about all of the athletes in Pacifica who have big families, and then they get rich, but not super rich. they only make like maybe $1 million or $2 million in their career, and then they're expected to put the entire village on and like build schools and pay everybody's bills and feed everybody and give the church money and then they're broke and they're like, oh, but you were a big athlete. Yes, but I've just fed like 20,000 people for 3 months straight on a regular basis. But
you have to understand that some of these athletes don't make bank. Like, they don't make big money. Like, even though they're on TV, they're in good sports teams.
I think that was one of your first points. That was really dope, and I didn't even need the argument. But no, you like totally made it.
Yeah, no one understands their financial situation. No one deserves to know how much they're making and how much is going to who, their family. But no one knows their financial situation. Right. We should just assume that they have this amount of money to give to the community. But
a lot of times, being famous is more perception than reality. And it's a lot of the visuals, like, people have to keep up and maintain a lifestyle, and we assume they have this and they have that, and they don't. Everybody does.
Exactly.
And we also have to look at how many athletes, how many singers, how many people who are quote unquote famous become bankrupt a very short amount of time after, and then go back. Because the thing you have to look at for us as people of color, when you talk about fame and getting money and becoming rich, how many of us have had formal financial educations on how to manage money? And so you have people that have major careers and then they're working in Kmart.
Exactly. And this is such a big conversation with college sports. Like, this pops up a lot with a lot of like people who've just come out of college sports, or they've just come out of high school and they've been offered big contracts. And this is the first time they've ever had this much money.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to handle, and their managers, not their managers, but they have really bad support system in terms, they don't have any financial advisors. They don't have anyone who...
But the cool thing is the NBA and the NFL has started implementing mandatory classes to teach players how to better manage their money. But I have a different, and I don't know if the rugby leagues are doing that, but I have a different perspective on that, right? And this is a conversation not to be stereotypical and not to be messed up towards our own people, but I'm going to tell you something about my niggas. And I'm talking about Afro-Latinos, I'm talking about black men, I'm talking about Islander men. Something all men can talk about or comment on, something almost all men are an expert on, no matter what their level of education or how to interact with their families, is sports. Sports and like their music. These niggas become scientists. Like, they, you know what I mean? They can tell you the ins and outs. And from that perspective, I had this conversation like years back, and I was like, oh, you know, they blow their money. And the dude gave it to me this way. This was my boy Justin. He said, look, you have a lot of these men that are coming into this world, and this is their first chance ever to be men. They're coming from single parent households or low income families where they really didn't have the parent experience to be raised, and they had to raise themselves and take care of themselves, right? And then they get all of this money for the first time in their lives, and then next thing you know, they've gone from being a kid, really not even still being an adult, to having to take care of and provide for their entire family and all of these people, and being the decision maker for everything because it's their money. Who the fuck is going to tell them anything?
Yeah.
You can give them a class and tell them they should do this, but who the fuck is going to tell me I'm not going to buy this new Bentley truck? Who's going to tell me I'm not? Nigga, this is my money. I'm on this field doing this.
And that's why you
I pay your rent. I bought you a house. You know what I mean? Like, so it's is it a shit mentality? Yeah, but it makes sense.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of NFL players, like, they had this ESPN show where they brought in NFL players whose careers had finished and they were broke,
living in vans and shit like that.
And they just explained what they did with all their money, and it was just ridiculous, the amount of, like, how many houses they would buy.
Houses, cars, drugs, strip clubs, cocaine.
But in terms of New Zealand rugby,
it goes to the village. I'm not even it goes to the village in a lot of cases.
I feel like a lot of it, well, what's his name?
you want to get your mom a house, you know what I mean? And then your mom wants you to do right by the village, and then the church wants money, and then like everybody's got your phone number because we all know each other, and everybody in the community is accepting this. So hey, Oos, you know what I mean? I got this business, and I just need a little bit of startup money. And
what's his name? Isha Folau. He came out with as ignorant as he is with the LGBT community, he came out with a player profile about him, and it was like an interview, and he said
a broken clock is right twice a day, you know what I mean?
And he just explained his experiences being a Tongan from Tonga, and now that he's made it big, because he made the jump from NRL to AFL, and he went to AFL for big money, not knowing how to play, he went for big money, and he said he went for big money because of his own reasons, but mainly because it was big money, but it became one of the unhappiest times of his life. So, his parents, like his dad, would ask him for money, and like random extended family members that he had no clue,
never seen before, never met before,
and that's such a even on a micro level, that's such a Samoan thing, like.
It's us as minorities and as people.
It's like you were not even successful yet, and still
people want everything. And this is the same conversation we have when we talk about supporting our businesses, who are run by our people and managed by our people, and then you always want discounts, and you always want things for less, and you always want a favor, and you always want a handout, and then it's like, well, I knew the business was gonna fail. Yeah, nigga, you ate half of the product. Yes, the business failed. What are you talking about?
I remember this conversation that it wasn't a conversation, it was more of a call out. His name was Iliota. He's a prominent figure on Twitter right now, and he was also a rugby player, and he was pretty much calling out all the Samoan celebrities and asking them, like he said, oh, where's Soli Mio, and how come they're touring all around the world but they're not giving back to our community, like what are you, but the
even
thing
when you
was,
say that, that's like saying that like the players are paying for that. The players don't play to tour around the world. The owners, the club, the kit pays for them to tour around the world. No,
Solimio is the three opera singers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so but he was also calling out, you're right, other football players.
But I'm just saying, like, still, we judge these situations. You gotta understand how business works. So it's okay for people to tell you, oh, look, I see you in all of these different cities. I didn't pay for any of that. Exactly. I am a product. And the company flies me to these locations as marketing so that they can get more money from me.
Exactly. But Solimio shot back and said, we do scholarships for Samoa communities, like, just because it's not blasted all over the news and it's not publicly, you don't know what we do for our community.
Exactly.
And that's why I never assume that these big name players aren't doing anything for the community.
Just because they don't have to be in front of a camera like the Palani to do it all every time. Yeah.
So they could be, and even if it's just giving money back to like their family in Samoa, their villages in Samoa, that is doing things for the community.
It is.
It might not be productive, like long-term wise, but it is what they need at the time, and I can't fault them for that.
Yeah. I think, and so the flip side of this conversation, I think the community that you're having the conversation about changes the tone of the conversation. And so we've just had all of the talking points from a Pacifica perspective, but I think like when we have this conversation from a black perspective, it becomes a little bit different. One of the dopest things for me, the first time I ever heard about Marshawn Lynch, he was having a conversation with another player, and they were mic'd up and forgot they were mic'd up, and they were talking about what they were getting ready to do for Thanksgiving, and they were off the field. And the guy was talking to Marshawn, and he was like, what's going on with you? What you about to do for Thanksgiving? He was like, you know what it is, baby. Eating his Skittles on the field. He was like, I'm about to go get some of them turkeys, give them away to the hood. You know what I mean? And that was like super dope to me. I'm like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like he's going to take his
such a
money.
Good guy.
He just buy mad turkeys and food and give away all his Thanksgiving dinners to hungry families in the hood. And I was like, he's so... And that made me a Marshawn Lynch fan instantly from the beginning. You know, and this has been a conversation in the rap world for a lot of time, because it's like you get famous for being from these projects and this projects and then from the streets, and then you get rich. What do you do for the projects?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so this conversation has been happening for years in the hood, and that's the reality. And so when they had that about Amber, I completely understood it, and there was nothing wrong with that conversation for me, because the point, and this is even especially Hawaii. I have this mindset so much because of Hawaii, not just the hood. All of these people come from outside of our community and inside of our community, and because we don't spend with ourselves and we're not educated on how to support our own businesses and shit like that, they make all of this money off of us. And where does it go?
Yeah.
It doesn't go back into the community. So if you are a business owner and you get filthy rich off of black people or brown people and you don't give back to them, you're a piece of trash. And that's if you're outside or inside the community. So, do white kids in the suburbs like that, you love rap? Yes, they do. And they do actually buy albums and they pirate music less than people of color and all of that. Cool, dope. But a lot of these things, especially hip-hop, was born off of the work of black people and ethnic people. And this is their creation, and the people who have been historically in the industry, paid the least for it, received the least for it, own the least of it, is the people who have created it. And so this is one of those situations where, yeah, there's a responsibility to give back to the community. From the NFL perspective and the NBA perspective, they farm our communities. They go out with their scouters and their recruiters, and they grab these young kids, and they don't even want them to get educations. No, it's okay. Come here, we got this tier 1 contract for you. You know what I mean? But you catch that injury, you're going, there is no guaranteed money, you know? And so they farmed our communities for generations, since the creation of these sports, since they started allowing Negroes and people of color to play in these leagues. And the pay is almost never comparable to white players, and even when it is, what else happens to these communities that you've gotten rich off of and fat off of for generations and for years, for the entertainment of Baalungi and for white people, you know?
I think for Pacific Islanders anyway, the community, giving back to our community, we should be less like actual money, and we should move away from that mindset, and there should be more investing in businesses, investing in our young entrepreneurs.
That benefits the players and the community.
Exactly. And it's like, make it less give money to like the churches and stuff, and more.
Exactly. And so this conversation isn't necessarily whether or not they should, but it's about the smart ways to do it, and the right ways, and what's best for them and the people that they're giving back to, you know? Because people make the assumption, or they have the misconception, that money fixes everything and money solves all problems. But if you don't know what the fuck you're doing and how to handle and how to manage money, and people are just going to steal from you and take from you and be ungrateful and not give back, there's no point in doing it. We just had this conversation about MC Hammer, and like something I told you that she didn't know was MC Hammer went bankrupt because he did right by his family, friends, and community. He wasn't even just throwing money at people. He was employing them. He gave everybody he ever knew, talked to, spent 5 minutes with, or that asked him for anything, a job. He gave them jobs. He paid people's rent. He did everything for them. And none of them cared, and they took advantage of him, and he went bankrupt. He was one of the highest grossing artists of all time. And he tried to give back to his people, and he's doing commercials now. He's doing Tool commercials. You know what I mean? And I'm not advocating not doing right by the people that helped you get your start, or were there for you, or supported you. But there's a smart way to do it, and there's a right way to do it.
I also want to touch on Ijao Folau, and how, not to like keep harping on him or anything, but like, just in terms of what he said to the LGBT community, I feel like people in his position with platforms that he have, like, while I don't feel that they are obligated to give back to their communities, I do feel that they have a sense of responsibility to use their platforms to, I don't know, to better serve our communities, if that makes sense. Like, it's people say it's only just Twitter. It's not just Twitter.
Yeah.
It really is not. So when you
it has bigger impact.
Exactly. So when you get 5,000 retweets on your bigoted statements that you make, it
creates a platform for that level of ignorance, and it justifies
yes.
people who feel that way.
Well, they're like, oh, well, look, Israel Folau is like this. Oh, look, Donald Trump is like this.
Like, everybody thinks this way. Yeah. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, and that's the point. It can be ignorant, and it's something that we say in our family and in my family is, if you can't help your family, at least don't hurt them.
Yeah. So that was...
Yeah, that's pretty much the conversation, and that's the episode, and I'm good with that. Are you good with that?
Yeah, so let us know if you think Al Pacifica and POC famous people are obligated to give back.
We love hearing from you guys. We want to hear from you way more. Please continue to contact us and reach out across social. Retweets are dope. We love retweets, reshares, reblogs, all of it. We want to get this information out there to as many people as possible. So please continue to share. Come check out our website, the HOHcollective.com. It's just a landing page right now, but you can sign up for our email list. And the launch for the site is coming up next week. We will be out with an official date soon, so stay tuned, guys.
Be ready.
Be ready.